Behind me, there's heavy snowfall going on as I'm located in northern New Jersey, and if we were to take a look at the radar, we do see that there's a large area of heavy snow throughout upstate New York, northern New Jersey. Even New York City is getting involved for their first major winter storm of the winter season. It happened quite late. We're almost at the point of March, but now we're seeing the heavy snowfall approach northern New Jersey and New York City metropolitan area. It's around 8:55 and is expected to continue over the next several hours. There might be a small break before we again see the snow fill in, and this will continue all night, as I'll say the heaviest snowfall rates should occur probably towards the midnight time frame once we really see this heavy rain band move in from Pennsylvania towards the New Jersey area. But Pennsylvania as well, the Poconos, you need to pay close attention to the snow. Upstate New York, Connecticut, the snow is approaching you guys, and it'll continuously move into southern New England, where we're going to see a large area of 6 to 9 inches of snow, and New York City could experience 3 to 6 inches of snow. So this is definitely something to keep in mind in the very short-term future. However, we have a second snowstorm that's expected to develop just behind this current winter storm that could bring even more snowfall to the Northeast as well as the Midwest. Take a look at the latest depiction of the European model. Of course, we have this first snowstorm moving through. The certainty is pretty much extremely high at this point. There aren't going to be any major variations when we're actually in the event in the Northeast. So in southern New England and throughout a large portion of Northeast, including the New York City metropolitan area, it's best not to travel tonight as road conditions will be quite hazardous thanks to the heavy snowfall you're expected to receive over the late night hours. Now, continuing move forward, the storm should move out by the Tuesday morning time frame, so this should be an all-night event for much of Northeast. But moving forward, we're going to see, like I said in my previous video, a low pressure system move down the California coast, and as it continues to move further eastward, we're going to see the snow eventually move into New Mexico, Colorado, and Arizona, and there's going to be plenty of cold air behind it, like I've been forecasting over the past several days, where there's going to be a big jet stream dip, and plus plenty of cold air behind it too, because there's still going to be quite a strong ridge that's going to bring a stronger southerly flow to bring that warm air further northward, and it's going to force the warm air to interact with the cooler air mass that's located just to the west of this low pressure system, creating an unstable environment. And moving forward with the forecast, we see that this ridge will eventually force this storm further northward, and it should encounter cooler air mass once again once it approaches the northern Midwest and Northeast, and we should see another snow event for portions of Northeast. Now it's still a little bit uncertain where exactly the heaviest snow will occur with this storm system. However, it's definitely a lot more certain than what we've been seeing over the past several days, since the GFS model now is leaning more to the European model scenario, where we're seeing snow throughout portions of the Northeast, including New York City, Connecticut's getting involved, upstate New York, and of course we're seeing very heavy snowfall in the Midwest. And in fact, likely the Midwest will experience most of the snowfall in this scenario, because in a lot of the Northeast, the snow will eventually change over to rain, but we do see that the interior Northeast and portions of the Midwest experience pretty much an all snow event, such as Illinois, northern Indiana. So you should expect very heavy snowfall in those areas as a result of the amount of cold air located just to the north of this storm. But there's still uncertainty regarding how strong this ridge will be. The stronger this ridge is, the more likely this low pressure system would take a track further northward a lot more quickly, which would bring more of the snow further westward and less snow to the Northeast, thanks to a stronger southerly flow that's pushing the warm air further northward. However, if the ridge is weaker, then we should expect a more impactful snowstorm for a larger area of the Northeast, where this could impact areas as far south as Philadelphia, and New York City will get a little bit more snow than rain in the scenario where the ridge is weaker. But at this point, I don't expect any major variations with this current forecast. It seems like the two main computer models are in pretty good agreement as of right now with the general track of this storm. Of course, they aren't completely identical. There's still some differences. The GFS model still leaning towards a little bit less snow for the Northeast, but it's taking a very general forecast. It isn't almost hundreds of miles apart when it comes to its trajectory, which is definitely good news. That certainly does raise the certainty with this forecast. So if you're in the Midwest and the interior Northeast, you likely will experience a significant winter storm as we approach a weekend starting Friday, March 3rd, and portions of the southern Northeast as well, such as southern New England and the New York City metropolitan area. You could also get involved with some snowfall from this storm on top of the snow you're experiencing right now in a lot of these areas. So make sure to be aware of that scenario for much of the Northeast. Now let's take a look at the GFS model's forecast. The GFS model, like I said, the certainty of this first snowstorm is very high. Both of the computer models are in very high agreement. And continuing to move forward, the GFS model also expects a low pressure system to move down the California coast, bringing plenty of cold air behind it, bringing an unstable environment in the midsection of the country, and again expects a strong enough ridge to steer this low pressure system further northward and only enhance the unstable environment in the midsection of the country. But continuing to move forward, we see that there's a little bit less snow in the New York City area. The snow develops a little bit further northward as the GFS model doesn't expect as strong of northerly flow to bring the snow or the cold as far southward for the snow to be further southward, but we're still seeing snow in a lot of the same areas. Chicago gets impacted a little bit more in this scenario where the track is a little bit further northward and brings the heaviest snowfall right over Chicago, which would be a very significant snowstorm for you guys. So in Chicago, you need to pay close attention because this could easily dump 8 inches of snow and potentially more, especially in the more localized areas of Chicago. So continuing to move forward, we do see that the storm will eventually move eastward, and you see very similar forecasts to the European model, just slightly further northward. We're going to need to pay close attention to how this ridge builds, like I said, to really determine where exactly it will go. But Chicago, a lot of Illinois, northwestern Missouri, and the eastern portion of Kansas, you need to prepare as if a snowstorm is going to impact you guys, as well as the interior Northeast, because it is likely at this point with both of the two main computer models in agreement that's this certain. So that definitely make sure to pay close attention to that throughout the Midwest and the Northeast. So this is a 500 millibar height anomaly from the GFS model, and like we've been seeing over the past several days, this ridge was expected to weaken, which is exactly what it did, which allowed this low pressure system to bring the snow a little bit further southward since there's less of a southerly flow. But continuing to move forward past that point, both of the computer models expect this ridge to rejuvenate itself, and by the time this trough moves through, we're going to see a slight shift further northward that would bring more of the snow to the Midwest rather than the Northeast in this scenario. So depending on how strong this ridge is, that will determine who gets a snowfall, the trajectory of this low pressure system, and also the strength, because if this ridge is a little bit stronger a little bit earlier, that would create a stronger southerly flow for the instability to definitely rapidly intensify once this trough moves in the midsection of the country. So this ridge will play a big role in terms of who experiences the heaviest snowfall, but it's likely the interior Midwest as well as interior Northeast will experience heavy snowfall from this storm system. And the European model is showing a very similar scenario when it comes to a 500 millibar height anomaly. So this is a GFS's model's snowfall forecast over the next 7 days. Of course, this includes 2 snowstorms that are expected to impact Northeast or currently already are, like this one we're seeing right now. We do see that the GFS model expects quite an active week when it comes to the winter time for the Northeast, where pretty much almost the entirety of the Northeast experiences over a foot of snow over the next 7 days, as the GFS model is very lenient on bringing bringing two powerful snowstorms to a lot of these areas. And then we see for the Midwest, this is very impactful for Chicago, where Chicago could experience close to, if not over, a foot of snow in this scenario. And we do see the snow extend as far south as Missouri as well, and Michigan, all experiencing a large area of 6 to 12 inches of snow. So you want to pay close attention to that as we approach next week or the late this week. So let me show you guys a European model, which is showing a very similar forecast to the GFS model, which does give me does raise the certainty that this snowstorm is likely. So this is the European model's forecast, and we do see very similar scenario. A large area of Northeast would experience over a foot of snow, and we see the same throughout Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, but we do see the heaviest snowfall is quite a bit further south than Chicago, where Chicago is right between the border of 6 to 12 inches to receiving almost no snowfall at all. So it might be a close forecast if the European model scenario was correct, and we do still see 6 to 12 inches for Missouri, and it might be a close forecast for St. Louis as well, depending on the exact trajectory, as small details such as the ridge will play a big role in terms of who experiences a heavy snowfall. So if you're hoping for a little bit more snowfall in Chicago, you're going to need to hope that the ridge is a little bit stronger like the GFS model is forecasting, because that would bring the snow a little bit further northward into the Chicago metropolitan area. And if you're not hoping for snow, let's say in St. Louis, you'd hope that the ridge is a little stronger to force the snow a little bit further northward. So small details like that we're going to need to pay close attention to over the next 7 days to really see who will receive the most snowfall this week. And here's my snowfall forecast for the next two snowstorms. Of course, for this current snowstorm, I'm expecting 6 to 10 inches of snow throughout northern New Jersey, upstate New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and northern Pennsylvania. 3 to 5 inches for New York City and Boston. So this should be our first major snowstorm for much of the coastal northeast region. So make sure to enjoy it if you do enjoy the snow, because winter will go away fast as we're quickly approaching the March time frame. So if you are hoping for snow all year long, this is definitely the time to enjoy it right now, since there is that possibility that we might not see a lot more snow left for the rest of the season. But taking a look for westward, you could expect 3 to 6 inches of snow throughout a large portion of the Midwest, and potentially 6 to 10 inches in Chicago and a large portion of Michigan. So I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days regarding any uncertainties with the forecast. But I thank you guys for watching. Oh, and make sure to tune in to my potential live stream that I'll have later tonight regarding this current snowstorm. I'll try to be reporting live in outside in northern New Jersey. It's snowing quite heavy right now, or I might just post a video. I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you guys out. So stay tuned for further updates. But I thank you guys for watching.